Okay, I got
It's
one more for
necessary
y'all.
now.
And it's still kind of on a somber, with another posthumous artist or
Post,
an artist who
yeah,
passed. We're 2 years right now for where we're
to the day.
recording to the day of when Smoke Dog passed. R.I.P. Smoke Dog.
R.I.P. And
Super
Cozy.
Hmm.
and cozy, right? Smoke Dog,
Yeah.
for the people who are listening in our American audience or the people who don't know, prominent Toronto artist, mad international features, millions
Yeah.
of views on YouTube, and you were reporting in those times. You were working for no, this is before CP24.
Yeah, I was at
Hmm.
your morning. I was at your morning at that time, but definitely was still following. I believe we covered that story on that show because that show's a national show. So,
Yeah,
I believe we covered it. I can't remember, but I definitely still remember that day when that happened.
yeah. I have a question for you, right?
Hmm.
Oh.
And sorry if you guys have anything. Do you guys have anything on before I ask the question?
No, no, go
Not
ahead.
be about this, but there's something that I wanted to bring up, and I think it would be like good
Uh,
because I just. But I'll wait till you're finished. Go ahead.
how do we keep our Toronto rappers alive? Because we're losing. Like we lost Houdini recently, right?
Yeah.
And you were reporting during those times, right? And
Yeah.
Smoke Dog now 2 years ago. Like we're losing too many of
R.I.P.
them.
Bully also.
Bully.
Yeah.
How do we keep these
Steno.
guys alive, Steno?
Steno.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You see, this is a situation that is happening in our city that's not happening in any other city across North America. And we need to call it what it is. Like there is an issue that's happening here, and there's a deeper issue that's happening. I think many people know what it is, and I don't have a simple answer in terms of how to keep our rappers alive, but I do think and maybe I can now speak really personally here. Toronto is such a unique situation for rappers and the rap industry in Canada because unfortunately, once you start to get to a certain stature, it's not like you can just rely on rapping as your sole income in Toronto, in Canada.
Preach.
There's not the ecosystem like you have in the States, for example, where if you're popping off in Atlanta or if you're popping off in LA, you can start touring to different various cities across that in the US and
Yep.
make a living and get out of the circumstance that you may have been in before.
Mm-hmm.
What I find in Toronto is that our rappers, they're getting to this stature, and I can't speak, all to it because I'm not in it, but
Hmm.
you have to ask yourself, why are they still in, how do they still stay in that circumstance that, they should start to be removing themselves from for their own safety. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
And I think it goes back to the fact that sometimes they still have to rely on whatever they could be doing to still sustain themselves until they can get to a point where they're at a Pressa level, for example, or they're at a Tory Lanez level where that they can get, down south and start to create a living for themselves solely based off of just doing their craft.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's such a deep issue that I don't know.
just
how you
hard in
fix it.
Toronto. It's hard in Toronto because there's a lack of like the shows. It's hard for them to
Yeah.
get shows.
Yeah.
Like to book shows.
And
Like,
that's the ecosystem. Yeah.
right? It's just harder. Plus, like you said, circumstances, like they can't rely fully on the rap. So they are doing other things to make money that might be a little bit black market, to say like, and yeah, it's a little sticky because when they do try to switch around their situation, they have so much obstacles against them to try to get parties or even cross the border.
Yeah.
They have a hard time getting across the border where that's where they need to get these opportunities, but they're being held back because of circumstances due to situations that they've been put in from just being, either if it's just, just being a young person in the city of Toronto, not necessarily just a colored person, but a rapper, just a young rapper in the city. Once they've had one criminal record, one thing, it's like it's always there. So it's like they go to try to do a show, the promoter talks to the police, oh, don't book those guys. Then boom, now what are they supposed to do, right? And then, like you said, it's just the ecosystem that needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with the ecosystem, right? you could go outside of Toronto, but where you gonna go? Calgary, Winnipeg. You know, then
the
you
Go
get to
Train
Vancouver. Tour. You know, you can go east and do the one place. That's like maybe 5-6 different markets that you can hit, and then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
You're done.
I call that the Go Train tour.
Right? Where if you're in the States, or, you know, you can go maybe tour around a few different little small towns inside of Ontario as well and try to pick up some bags as well. But by the end of that tour, you've probably maxed out with maybe $30,000 if you're charging a good bag per show, right? Where if you're in the United States, you can move around from Texas, do a bunch of shows in Texas, and then go down to Alabama, do like 3-4 shows in the different towns in Alabama, and make your way all across the different states. Make your way down to LA if you want, you know what I'm saying, and everywhere in between. That's mad states and mad cities. If you're charging like $1,500 a show, which is low, imagine how much you've received by the time you've done like 50 shows.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. And you're still independent. Nobody even knows your name yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Trust me.
So it's tough. It's tough for them. Yeah. And it's not easy. And you know, that's the other side of it, because a lot of people will be quick to be like, well, they shouldn't be doing what, you know, they shouldn't be in certain circumstances. Yeah. Well, you know, and this is where it's like, it's so important to have a diversity of voices, especially in mainstream media, because until you fully understand people's upbringings and circumstances, then you're more careful in terms of how a story is framed, and you're able to look at it from both sides. Because if people understood the complexities that a lot of these young guys are in, there would be a little bit more empathy.
Word.
And I think if we could move our lives step with empathy instead of judgment all the time, our world would be a much better place.
Super facts.
100%.
Sab, what did you have there? What were you gonna say?
So no, it was another news story, but I was like, it kind of reflects around the same thing. But I'm like, imagine this is happening here, and in Jamaica, the same things are happening to their artists. Because Raging King just got shot in his face, and his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They shot up her. They shot up his whole car, and there's 2 cars that pulled up and did that. On top of that, so they're still actually the gunmen are still at large, and he's undergoing surgery.
Wow.
Like, imagine, it's not just happening here, it's happening everywhere across the world. So as much as it looks like Toronto is like saturated with it, everybody's going through the same thing right now.
Yeah. Most definitely.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah. Any thoughts on the Raging King? Yo, let me just throw something before y'all throw some thoughts. That's crazy. I feel like when we, and you know what you're saying before, we complain about stuff, and we should, but when you hear stuff like that, and in Jamaica that's a regular thing, like, it kind of puts things into perspective, no?
Well, that's just it, right? Because we live here, right? So it's going to affect you directly because you're getting the news from here. But remember, this is probably something that's happening in the world like every day, all day. Like the people in like Iran and Afghanistan and Sri Lanka and everywhere else where there was actually war and bombs that are dropping on a daily basis, they're dealing with that stuff on a regular. Jamaica's dealing with shootings and their politicians killing people, and people are just for no reason, and you come to Toronto and you might get shot in the street by accident because you're a bystander, you weren't even involved in the things. It's happening everywhere. So it's not just happening in your city. Remember, it's happening across the world. But the change is only gonna happen with you. Like,
that is such a good point.
Right.
Facto.
It starts with you. So if you're not gonna put your best foot forward to make it better for yourself and the people in your direct circle, we're never gonna get anywhere.
Super facts.
100.
Brandon, I want to thank you. Let's wrap it up. You know what I'm saying? I think we've got enough news stories. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to be doing an episode, you know, where we're going to be doing more news and stuff like that, and we'll attach this with the news stories that we're going to be dropping on Thursday morning. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So look out for that. Before we go though, give the people your social medias. Let the people know where to find you. You know, IG, wherever you want people to find you.
Real quick before you do that, sorry, this one question. Who's the funniest person you work with at CP24?
Who's the funniest person?
Yeah. The one you know you're going to get a joke from all the time, no matter what.
That one's hard. Because are you talking on air or are you talking behind the scenes?
Just whatever. Like, you know, on air, behind the scenes. Just, you know, that person's quick with it, you're gonna get a joke all the time, no matter if it's on air or off air. You just know they're just quick with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my camera operators. His name is Ken, and Ken and Aaron. I'll give them both. They are just hilarious guys. Especially Aaron, because he's witty AF. So it keeps you on your toes. You know what I mean? Because when somebody's quick with the comeback, you got to be quicker with the snapback. So yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's just my little quick one. I just wanted to get in there.
Yeah, man. So yeah, let the people know where to find you social media wise, and you know, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if they feel inclined to check the boy out, you know, just at Brandon Gonez on all the different socials.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yo, enough respect for doing this with us once again, man. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely for us as locals, like it's an honor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I told you before in the beginning, I watch a lot of CP24. You know what I'm saying? So when I see y'all in there, I'm like, bop, 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 bop. Yeah, man. So
you got the gunshots in the area.
Trust me, man. I'm watching, bro. You see me on Instagram. I always tag you when I repost you, bro. Like, yo, real time too, dog. I'm catching it on TV, and I'm like, oh snap! Did he just say that? This got to go on the gram. You know what I'm saying? So we give you a lot of ratings over here, fam. Trust me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, for sure.
Appreciate the love. Seriously, you guys.
Yeah, man.
Keep doing what you're doing, also, man.
We appreciate Thank you for being so candid. That is the best thing to see. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, guys.
So we'll get up soon, family.
Alrighty, you guys take care, eh?
You too.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Have a good night. Yes, you guys as well.
Thank you.
Bless.
That was blessed. Yeah, that's amazing.
Brandon
Brandon.
building.
Yo, the man, he's a down to earth
Excuse me,
man.
You're doing too much.